Welcome back to the Untriggered Woman Podcast. I'm Mia Vivone. In the last episode, we talked about a simple but a very important idea that felt safety is only the beginning. Excuse me. And today, I want to go just a step further into something that many women quietly struggle with, but they don't always say it out loud. What do I do when I have been through so many different methods and I have all this information that I'm not having trouble understanding? I'm just having trouble implementing this information to create a change. What is that? Like, why does that happen? And so it's very important for us to name what this is. I work with a lot of women who sometimes can articulate their patterns very clearly. There are those, of course, myself included at one time, that was I was not able to detect patterns, but sometimes we can. Um, you might be able to tell me where exactly something started, why you respond the way that you do, and of course, what you feel like you should be doing differently, but for some reason, you're not able to do differently. This is a real thing in trauma survivors. It's not that we're not aware. It's not that we're not, it's not that we're in denial about it. And in many cases, we're highly aware. And yet, in the moments that matter, in a conversation, in a relationship, in a decision, we may still feel pulled into the same emotional and behavioral responses, the same reactions, the same outcomes. And this is what creates a very specific kind of frustration because we feel like we're stuck in this cycle of maladaptive responses. And we are. It starts to feel like I understand so much. And if that's the case, then what is the reason? Like, why am I still doing it? There's a misunderstanding in the way that change is often talked about. It's the idea that awareness should automatically lead to transformation. But awareness and change aren't exactly the same thing. Awareness is the ability to see what's happening. I'm finally, knowing that that is what I'm doing. But change is the ability to interrupt, question, and redirect what's happening. Those are two different skills. And many women have been taught the first to here's what it is you're doing wrong, but not the second part of that, which is here's how you can interrupt, here's how you can question, or you might have heard the word challenge. And then here is how to redirect or choose intentionally what it is that I want to happen next through my response. And so as we break this all down, when you become aware of a pattern, you're noticing this is what I think, this is what I feel, and this is how I'm responding. And without the ability to watch ourselves, it's very hard, right? This matters that we're able to do this. And it's necessary for us to go to the next step. But awareness alone doesn't recognize the pattern because the pattern isn't just behavior. It's built from a set of underlying beliefs that we were given either in childhood trauma or in some type of relationship or other interpersonal trauma. And the beliefs influence what feels true, what might feel threatening, what feels safe, and then what feels familiar. So even when you know that something or of something intellectually, your internal system may still organize itself around the older conclusion. There's been more reinforcement around that older conclusion. And it's not because you're choosing it consciously. Please hear me when I say that. It's not because you're choosing it consciously, but just because it's still operating as true underneath, or more accurately, beyond your awareness. This is where I want to be very careful, but very honest. This doesn't mean you're stuck forever. That it doesn't mean change is complicated or out of reach. It means that understanding is not the same as updating. And many women have spent years increasing their understanding. Maybe that's you, but without being shown how to actually work with what they understand. So, what does that look like? It looks like moving from I know why I do this to I can see the thought happening in real time and I know how to work with it. It looks like noticing this feeling is here and it's been shaped by a thought that I might not have questioned yet. It looks like slowing down just enough to ask yourself, what am I believing right now? And is that belief actually accurate, helpful, or necessary in the moment? And I cannot stress enough that when you do that practice, when you're looking for evidence, I want you to focus on, I want to feel good no matter what. Because sometimes we have such a negative inclination. A lot of trauma survivors do. That's okay. We were taught that the world is scary, that people suck, that our lives will never be different, that we'll never achieve our goals and our dreams, that we're not valued by other people. So we will conjure sometimes evidence to support an underlying belief that is really not serving us. So it's important to ask yourself, is this accurate? Is it helpful? And is it necessary? And also, is believing this going to make me feel better or worse? And it's important that you don't do this in a very harsh or critical way, because a truth way, an honest way is one thing, but a very shame-inducing way is going to be not conducive to your recovery. But just do it in a clear, steady, and intentional way. Because here's what I see over and over again is women who have done a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of work. They still experience emotional spikes that feel disproportionate, right? Remember, if the stimulus is like this and my response is like this, chances are that that is triggering a past experience, because emotions are records of the past. I don't have that emotion now unless I have experienced it before. So if you're experiencing spikes, that might mean that you're not really understanding how to implement what it is that you're learning. Also, familiar relationship dynamics. If you feel like you are on the dance floor listening to the same song but with different partners, or if the relationship with other family members or even coworkers or even platonic friendships, if those dynamics repeat, that is really the best place to look at how your trauma recovery is doing. Also, if you have internal narratives that don't match who you are, if you're unable to give yourself acknowledgement, credit, right, an accolade, those are just a few signs that this internal narrative is still active and you're feeling less than, even though you might have evidence outside of you in your environment or even inside of you in your internal environment that says otherwise. And you start to question yourself and you start to think that something must be wrong with you. Oh, how I have been there. When in reality, you simply haven't been shown how to move from the awareness of the problem into active, intentional change. And so I want to share with you some of my intentions with this podcast. First of all, I created this podcast after months of battling self doubt, destructive narratives from past abuse from parents and other people, and my own misconceptions about what I needed to be able to do this. And the reason I created this space is because this subject, what we're talking about, implementing what we know, how awareness does not create change, how consuming copious amounts of knowledge, and it's out there. And it is so out there. And sometimes it causes more confusion than what is good. And you might find yourself having a really intense emotional reaction. And all you're doing is just going down the list. Like, I'm going to deep breathe. I'm going to splash my face with water. I'm going to tell myself I'm fine. I'm going to look for the silver lining. I'm going to be grateful. All these things we're taught to do, but you're doing it to get out of the current emotional experience. And that's why it's not working. You're abandoning yourself. So we're going to keep coming back to this space, not as a quick fix, not as a rigid system, but as a practice, a way of relating to your thoughts, your emotions, and your internal world that is, first of all, more precise, more grounded, and more usable in real life. And in order for us to have that, it has to be simple. Because in that space with some of my emotional reactions, especially as a person who had an anger problem most of her life, even though a lot of you say, wow, Mia, like, I can't even imagine you like that. Yeah, that was me. That was me. I got into a lot of trouble for that anger problem. But I'm not able to go through a 17-step system in that moment to choose a different response. So this has to be simplified because change does not happen in theory. It doesn't. It happens in moments, in these conversations, in our reactions, in the decisions, in the now. And so for today, I want to leave you with something simple. The next time you notice yourself reacting, not later, not after, but as close to the moment as you can possibly get. And remember, practice is going to help you see it sooner. Pause just long enough. Well, first, I want you to take a deep breath. Remember to extend the exhale, the out breath. Do not allow the diaphragm to like that. Extend the out breath. Take a deep breath because that slows down the neurochemicals that come into the brain that push us further into fight or flight. And then pause and ask, what is it that I am believing right now? An easier way sometimes for me to do this is I say, what story am I telling myself right now? Not just about what happened, not just about what the other person did, because we know that'll keep us stuck, and not just what this reminds you of, which will increase awareness, but it's not really going to help you choose a different response right now. But what you and your brain are making this mean. Remember, that's the job of cognition. It is the meaning maker. What story are you telling yourself? That is often where the real work begins, is just practicing that. So in closing, you don't need more and more information. You don't need a different way of working with what you already know. And that is what we're building here, is we're building a simplified approach to implement everything that we have learned so far in a culmination of effecting a lasting change. I'm Mia Vivone. This is the Untriggered Woman Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.